Welcome, good evening. We're so delighted you're here for this panel. We're so invested in this topic, and the topic for today's discussion is coaching for young women professionals, specifically women in the leaky bucket bracket. What do I mean by the leaky bucket bracket? Maybe the first question that comes to your mind. We mean women who we've all been, women in their 20s, specifically women in the age bracket of 22 to 35 years old, preferably women who are either the first individuals stepping out of their homes and working in a professional career. But these are the women that are assumed by our corporate India, by our organizations, to be the women most at risk to drop out of the workforce. These are the women who we've all been again, that organizations are not invested in, that are not making available leadership and development opportunities to. These are women that they're not betting on. In fact, they're betting on them for the wrong reasons. Reasons like dropping out of the workforce when life will show and throw challenges their way, including marriage, motherhood, and everything that comes with taking on the role of a caregiver in our society. So when we talk about the leaky bucket bracket women, we are specifically talking about how do we ensure that these women are not leaving their work because of some conditioning or beliefs or expectations that are imposed on them. So today I'm very delighted to have three amazing women on our panel to talk about the challenges and the solutions and the creativity that these women need to unlock in order to have long sustaining careers. Because I'm sure all of you will agree, as 50% of the population, we want to be 50% of the workforce all the way to the topmost echelons of leadership in organizations. So why are we invested in women in the leaky bucket bracket? Once again, because everybody sitting here and everybody sitting here have been those women. So by way of a quick introduction, I'm Vibha Chokhani. I'm an executive leadership coach, also serving as the president of the Wiki Maharashtra Coaching Council. It is my absolute honor to have some of my colleagues here who are also ICF certified coaches and who are specifically working in the domain of leadership, life coaching, and mindset transformation. So to my left, I have Anubha Kathuria Belani. Anubha is a mindset transformation coach and an emotional intelligence coach with over 25 years of experience, specifically working with women who are battling midlife and later life crisis. She has 25 years of experience, maybe I already said that, but it is something to be repeated. And to Anubha's left is Inderjeet Kaur. Inderjeet Kaur is also an ICF certified PCC level coach, executive leadership coach with 25 years of experience in various industries and serving as the president of the Punjab Coaching Council under Wiki. Welcome Inderjeet, welcome Anubha. And last but not the least, we have Anupreet Vig. Anupreet is also an ICF certified coach, specifically working with women in the healthcare profession. And she's also an academician and a professor at a university and sees what it's like to be at the front lines of the healthcare infrastructure and the profession. So ladies, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. Amazing. So let's just directly get into the topic of the leaky bucket bracket, right? These are women, 22 to 35 years of age, we're saying, who are assumed that they're not worth betting on, they're not worth investing in. They can figure out their way, they can figure out how to stand up for themselves and push their careers forward and perform in outstanding ways. What are some of the challenges, I'll start with you Inderjeet, of these particular women in your experience that you've seen, specifically in how they are coming out of colleges and graduate school and universities and finding themselves in the workforce and then finding themselves in marriages or different life situations that are curveballs they've never been prepared for.
Thank you. There are one too many challenges, but I'll just begin with the corporate India where I have experience, where we're talking about this age bracket and they are early in career. So usually they are the subject matter experts or they are junior management. And like you mentioned a bit earlier, that the career progression and the life stage kind of align, the graph aligns for them. So they usually have one promotion, they're due for more promotions, so their career is rising, but then they also have the life stage. So many of them are getting married or they're having the first child. So in that case, it's, and we've all been there. And if you look at organizations, like you mentioned, there are very few women leaders there. Their managers are usually men. And so if you look at organizations, I don't think organizations are doing much in terms of supporting those women to perhaps, go through this very challenging unknown, if you will, because while we know that we're going to get married and we're going to have children, but how do you balance that with being a professional also? The pressure is coming from both the sides. So that's one is organizational, that they face a lot of challenges. Things are changing now, but still there's a lot to be done. From my own experience, I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I found my own way. Now, going on the societal side, there is a stigma, even today, when you are a working woman, and if it's your first child, then well, you're going back to work, then there's a question about parenting also. And of course, even in India today, society, women is the primary caregiver. So she's trying to also balance that. If she's in a new family that she's married into, she's still trying to build that kind of relationships and manage those expectations also. So that's the second one. And third, if I would just talk about the psychological part, this is beyond being 28 to where we are today, and if I look in hindsight, in terms of, being assertive, knowing yourself, knowing your purpose, and the confidence that we have today to push back, to say no, to make time for myself. Those are things I don't think, at least nobody had talked or coached me into. And so we found our way there. We also got some support from other women and even men, I would say. But it was a tough, challenging task. So I see it in three buckets: organizational, societal, and psychological. So that's the
Anubha and Anupreet, just jump in if you have something to add on the challenges faced.
Sure, absolutely. So, like you also said, life will throw curveballs at you. She also said you somehow managed. So, what I feel is that it's just like it's happening by itself. It's not the flow. It's not your internal flow. It's just where life is taking you and you're navigating, you're fighting. If you have to create your own identity, you're fighting. And this leaky bucket, I just share a small example that I went through. Not an example really, my own life, that I was asked when I joined a new job if I was planning to get pregnant. I mean, I was shamed for even thinking of getting into family planning, right? And I'm saying just think what changes if I would have had a coach at that time, somebody who's my thought partner, somebody I could have heard, or I could have shared my own things with in a safe, courageous manner, right? That's what a coach provides us, a safe space. And so it just becomes like a lot of war. And once you are off that wagon, and you've almost kind of lost your identity, right? Like you take on a role of a mother, you take on a role of a wife, a daughter-in-law, and everywhere you are expected to be a good mother, a good wife, and all of that. So that kind of takes so much of toll on a person's individuality and her own uniqueness. Like when I coach middle-aged women, and when they come to me, and there is just one question, Vibha, you'll be shocked that I ask, and they are like all the time thinking about it. So what is it that you really want? Just this question. In any kind of a coaching scenario, I ask this one question and they tell me, I have texts later on like, nobody asked me what I really want. And it becomes like we were discussing also in the Jeep, it becomes even more tougher after your children have kind of empty. I don't like calling it emptiness, but
they've moved
when
on
they
with their
moved
lives.
on with their own lives. So you battle that loneliness, and at that time, even though you want to, but you don't find any purpose, any passion, because you've forgotten yourself. So I say coaching at that stage, when we are talking about the leaky bucket, at that stage kind of empowers and enables you to make a conscious choice, whether you want to be there or not want to be there, right? Like I chose at a particular point that I want to be a a stay-at-home mom. But after that, again getting back on the, say, workforce wagon without feeling guilty or regretting the decision. So, I think that is most important. Like, what is the conscious choice that you are making? And are you being shamed for that choice? I'm sure you, like we were discussing also, you've heard so many people telling you that, oh, you're working, you said the same thing, you're working, what about the kids, and how come daycare, and blah, blah, blah. So I think we need, like she was rightly saying, the 3 buckets also, that those need to be an enabling environment. So that's what I feel.
Some really great points. Anupreet, anything from you to add?
Okay,
From where you see
so
this?
I think Indrajit and Anuba have mentioned a lot, many things, but to add on that, coming from healthcare background, and it's more like a service industry where we are givers, and as a women we are givers. We are always a giver. Since childhood we have been taught that you are a giver, you have to do this, you have to do that, and in healthcare it's all in our genes that you just need to give, just need to provide, and that empties us somewhere. So I think that is the big challenge we face. And talking about that bracket, 28 to 22 to 35, we are getting married, we are having our first child, and then the workload is a lot much. And thankfully in healthcare, there is a 50% ratio in frontline and middle management, but not in top management. That is the sad part of it, because many women actually in the middle management they leave because they are not able to take that burnout. The productivity decreases and they are not able to manage their family, they are not able to manage their profession, and they just think of quitting. So that is, I think, the biggest challenge which healthcare professionals face. And as Anuba has mentioned, if there would have been a coach at that stage who is a sounding board, who would have sat with them and told them that yes, this can be worked out and everything can be worked out, then I think the picture will be different. So yeah.
So thank you. Because I'm just going to underline some things that you said, right? You very clearly, Indrajit, laid down organizational, social, and psychological challenges. And you talked about shame. You mentioned the word shame. Anubha, you beautifully brought out the aspect of the kickback cost, the regret that you face or guilt that you face later if there is a lack of conscious choosing that's happening at that stage. And then the mother of all questions, what do you want? Right? It's a question that we all need to practice answering at all times of our life. But unfortunately, we get to our 30s and we are like first time asking the question to ourselves because nobody asked us, what do you want? And we've never asked that question of ourselves. So I love that aspect that you brought up, like that question which is so paramount to creating anything in our life is, what do you want, as opposed to a leaf blowing in the wind or default going with the flow and mummy ne bol diya and boss ne bol diya, like you're just following along as opposed to directing your life. And I'm picking up from you, Anupreet, the question of burnout and the question of quitting, which is what our goal is. Let's not quit. Let's find ways. So I'd like to ask the question from your place's vantage point. What is that role that a coach plays? What is the gap that a coach bridges that's not existing in a young woman's existing support system, or let's say her infrastructure around her? A support system is probably a better word. So what is the gap that a coach bridges for a woman in that space?
I would say the first and the foremost thing is holding of non-judgmental space for the person to fully express herself or himself. That's what a coach's prime, job is. And I also feel that coaches are our biggest cheerleaders. I also feel that if we are coaching and if our coach or the person who's coaching us is to ask us this question, what do I really want? Right? That puts the focus back on me beyond my roles of a daughter, good sister, good mother,
Good
and
employee,
a good employee, a good boss.
Good team player.
Boss तक पहले पहुंचेंगे तब.
Exactly. I'd love to be questioned about being a good boss. Right?
Absolutely. So that sense of identity loss,
Yeah.
I think will be kind of, overtaken if a coach is there to help us right from the beginning.
Puts the spotlight back on you.
Yeah.
So you very rightly said.
Normal background
people
लगा,
are
ये
in the
दो तो मैं बोल
organization.
दी, सिंपल
Yes,
बात
so
है।
she's already covered something
Yeah.
there, right? In organizations, I think so, like you said, the boss usually is either a male, asking the questions that I mentioned, when are you going to come back, the gossip that we hear around in terms of the impact on their career, how they'll be left behind.
Yes.
So I think so one of the things, an important question is what is truly important to you in life?
Mm-hmm.
To ask that question. And then, of course, as life stages changes, I always, whenever I do, maternity coaching or coaching women leaders, I always say, there are few stages in life, this is my own view, that there are few stages in life that one should enjoy. Marriage hopefully happens once.
Yes. Yes.
You will have 2 or 3 kids.
Enjoy.
Take time to enjoy this more.
Yeah.
Because careers will come and go, promotions will keep on coming, things will happen, and it's not a race. Who are you running? You decide your own goals. That's what is that you really want, like she said. That's an important question. And what's important to you? Once that answer is clear to you, I think the other dissonance goes away. Because many times the training around time management, so on and so forth, without really knowing your purpose and what is important to you. I guess if that happens, it will be good. So that's on the overall perspective. On the organization perspective, I think so a lot of support system. There are very few women coaches or even mentors which are available. There are not many in leadership also nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
All they talk about is work and tasks and goals, but nobody talks about these things. So women are grappling. So if we can have a coaching culture over there, if we have external or internal coaches who can help them take them through, I think so not only will you have less attrition because organizations are always measuring the numbers,
Yeah.
more engagement, but I think so even productivity
Yeah.
over a period of time. And we talk about so much about ethics. And if there is a balanced work environment where there are both genders, even ethics and ethical practices also go down, unethical practices also go down. So there's a lot of benefit to having this support system. Unfortunately, even today in India, it's at the senior management.
Yeah.
At this early in career where they need it the most, nobody's holding that hand and making that safe space for them to come and talk and try and find their own way out.
Okay, so very good points. What I wanted to add is that coach's role is to be an active listener. So in healthcare, what I have seen that you just need to vent out, and there is nobody to listen. Nobody has a time and space to listen to you. So coach's role comes as an active listener and making the person self-aware that what exactly is happening to them and understanding the reality of it. We put a lot of stress on empathy in healthcare. So that is what we expect from our frontline professionals because they are customer facing and they are patient centric and all that. But what we forget usually is that they take the maximum burn when the patient is not satisfied and the family is going through something, and then in that level they become very, very demotivated and all that. So to build empathy back into them, we have to support them somewhere and we have to be there, listening to them, making them aware, and then telling them, asking them that how they see themselves and where they want to go, where they want to see themselves in another 5 to 10 years, a visualization basically. So, but firstly, they have to be their own self, they have to accept it. So that is what I feel the coach's role should
I
be.
was just thinking about the question. I would just say, if you are taking care of others,
Yeah.
who's taking care of you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's a question that we all need to ask ourselves.
That's
Right?
and that's what Ananda is saying. Like the focus comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know, who are you standing up for? How are you filling your own cup?
Exactly.
How can you have empathy to your own self and not deny your reality of burnout? Not deny your reality of I'm juggling way too many balls and I am completely walking on thin ice, or I'm completely stretched to the ability that I am now giving from a place that's not even healthy.
Yes.
Right? And I often observe with young women, because they've come out and there's so much pressure and lack of support, as you said, Indrajit, that their expectations of themselves are so high and unrealistic that say, like, first and foremost, they're harming themselves.
Yes.
There's all that inner perfectionist talk. There is also that ability of, if I don't do this, then my career is doomed.
Yes.
Without even actually entertaining the idea of a different possibility. So my addition to how a coach helps support you is actually imagine different possibilities. As opposed to option A, B or C.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You create your own palette of options, you create your own way around how you're going to navigate a challenge, and then it creates this sense of conscious choice. So whatever shade of choice I've created, I'm happy with it. It doesn't have to fit a certain mold, doesn't have to look a certain way, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody. As long as it completely makes sense to me, as the person in question, as the woman in question. So a coach is helping you not only design new realities and possibilities, but also stand behind those choices with clarity, with courage, with confidence, and with conviction. I think the conviction to stand by that choice. So often I see young women make a choice and then they'll backtrack.
Yeah.
Right? They'll question the self-doubt and the imposter, all of that will come in. So they'll backtrack. But can I stand with my choice and see how it actually will play out and imagine a different reality for yourself? Then coaches really help you break out of that A plus B is equal to C mode. I'm curious if there's anything else you'll add in terms of why organizations and as a society at large, we need to pay attention to supporting young women with a coaching perspective. I'm taking it macro.
I go to Indrajit first.
Yeah, why should the society care about supporting
Because
young
I think they are the future. So if we empower a young female, she is a center stage of the entire community. We can build up a healthy community, and we can build up the future generation in a manner giving a holistic approach. So if we are coaching them at that particular age, at that particular level, it means we are building those confident, empowered females who know their way out, who know where they are heading towards, who are confident in dealing all the challenges which life throws, and they are self-motivated and they know that they can do and reach wherever they want to. So that is important. Yeah.
So, Vibha, as you mentioned, we are 50% of the population.
Yeah.
There's a huge potential. Much of them with a lot of degrees are sitting at home. So it makes an economic, there's a great economic reason for them to be there. So that's one. So that's at the macro level. But at the micro level, I believe that if a woman is confident, if the woman knows her purpose, she's happy, she can then transmit it around to her children, to the next generation, like you mentioned. Yeah? They can bring up strong, independent individuals, which are again great for society, for organizations, for the country alike. So there is a lot of credence to women being coached at so early. And as we were discussing a bit earlier, so we have given education, we've told, learn how to cook, etc. Nobody talks about life skills. You just jump in the pool and we are trying to find a way. What if as coaches we can make it easier, an easier transition? So I think I would start even before, they join a company or organize and start working. I would say when they are in professional degrees or other degrees, there are a lot of girls who are going through all these pressures that they are around them, and if we can support them, why not? We found our way by we're here, but there could have been so many more, and just look at that snowball effect that we could have created, not only for this generation, but for the next generation. So that's why.
You know what is coming to me with my Indrajit and Anuprit is that we've all heard so much about hurt people, right? And it is the same thing, empowered people, empowered. That's why they say real queens will fix the crown on your head, right? So just imagine like how we have been, like she says, by hook or by crook or by navigating in the pool and all of that. what if there was somebody as a coach to us at that time, and then as a payback to the society, we need to, I think, really empower our own women, be out of that space of judging other women's choices, right? So I think that's how I see the future going forward.
Beautifully said. You know what's coming to me as I listen to all of you is, I think a few years ago, a few decades ago, it was you educate one woman and you educate the whole family.
Yes.
I think we're moving to you coach one woman, one woman who's coached and has access to such a space. The snowball effect, as you said, is you empower an entire community. Because we're not moving away from deeming women to be the caregivers and the center of the family or the social structure. Then let's invest in that woman early on, because we know we're going to burden her. and it's going to impact the rest of the people around them. And I'll just add to say, you know, how do we learn from, we don't learn by people telling us, we learn by what people embody and show by their actions. So when one woman learns to stand up for herself and assert and make conscious choices that are empowering, that are beyond shame and guilt and not coming from those places of judgment, she is standing up for many, many others. Right? And as coaches, we help these women see themselves. We are, as I said earlier, we have the questions, we don't have the answers. So how amazing it is when a woman learns to think for herself, to choose for herself, and to stand by those choices and live her life by those possibilities. We're helping her just emerge, as opposed to, you know, disempowering her by telling her what to do. And when one person can see themselves, you learn to see everyone else. Empathy comes from, I can see myself, therefore I can see that part of you, right? And so I just want to say that I think we're moving to a world where, you know, everybody needs to have a coach.
Yes.
Because we in a world where information is flying to us the way it is, it's hard. It's so much easier to lose ourselves.
Absolutely.
Lose our anchor, right? So my final question to us is, take a moment, and I'm also saying this to everyone here, that what was one thing that you wish you had known about your own potential in your 20s?
I wish I would have known that I carry a lot of baggages, my mental baggages since my childhood, and I am not what my mental baggages are. I am a different person altogether. I have my own individuality. So I wish I would have known that in my 20s.
So, for me, I did it all. I was good at studies, I was good at playing, so I did both. And I thought that was the normal. I didn't know that, but that is something now in hindsight, very few people do. And I would jump into new things and do new things, but never realized I had that strength of, meeting new people, gelling with them, working with them, and also learning new things as I go by. I wish somebody had told me that. I could have done so much more than I guess I've done today. That would be something.
I think, my coaching mantra is, I'm enough, you're enough, together we are magic. So I think what would have helped is knowing that I'm enough, and then aiming for the stars. So I think that would have helped.
Yes, I love that. My life-saving mantra has been, I have enough, I do enough, I am enough.
Awesome.
And in my 20s, I wish there was somebody who had told me, I am loved for who I am and not what I do.
Yeah.
And reminded me to, grow fruit on other people's trees, and that's how I'm fed, as opposed to just pushing for my own achievement. I coach a lot of hyperachievers, recovering hyperachievers. Instead of just going after what I need, or being on the other side of being a doormat and only serving others, it's a mutuality. relationship, that the more I save myself, I can create safety for others. Thank you so much for this conversation, and thank you all for joining us. We are delighted again that we have had the chance to have an important conversation about the future that we talk about, the women that are really holding the potential of India that we all dream of, and a workforce and an economic powerhouse that we all aspire and actually are already. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And clapping for yourselves. And हम ना we'll do awards. ऋतु आप आ जाओ उनको awards देने के लिए. किसको पकड़ूं मैं बाहर से किसको पकड़ूं? आप खा रहे हो actually. नहीं आप खाओ ये पकड़िए नाल